FlossTube. Welcome to my stitchy home. My name is Becca and today's date is Tuesday, April 28th, 2020. Thanks for stopping by. It has been a month and 10 days since my last FlossTube. I meant to look to see which FlossTube this was. I don't know. Well, anyway, I'm glad to see you. I hope you are doing well. And I have a ton of stuff. I have a ton of stuff here to show you and to talk about. I have notes, and there's so much more I want to say. I don't know. I'm sure it won't all get said, but we'll do our best. My husband and I are doing well. We're sheltering in place, and he's working from home, and I'm stitching and quilting and holding the cat. So I have my purpose in life is to hold the cat. Past finishes. Let's talk about the quilt behind me. This is made from scraps. The only fabric I had to purchase to make the quilt was the white for the flowers, and it comes from this book, The Big Book of Scrappy Quilts. The patterns in the book are from different quilt designers, and this one is called Neighbor's Fence, and it was designed by Anne Muskiki. In the sample, she used a star shape, which the template for that is in the book. She used a star shape on her quilt, and obviously bright, all kinds of different colors. I just drew out a flower myself and cut that out and sewed that on. So it's a lap size quilt. Let me just show you. This book came with a hard binding. It's heavy. With a hard binding. I took it to, I think, to Staples, but it might have been Office Depot, and they, for I think about $4, it's been a while, they put the spiral binding on, so they cut off the old binding to put the spiral on, and then I had them attach some plastic. Oh yeah, okay, they slide in from the side. Anyway, I had them attach a couple of those to the back. You can see they stick out. They're bigger than the book, but they will hold if I have to make a photocopy, like a working copy, or photograph a template, or scan in and make a copy of a template. They'll hold that. So that has come in handy. So anyway, that's my quilt back here. So I made that in 2016, 2017. All right, another past finish I have is a counted canvas design. And this is called Ode to Callaway. And it's designed by Marnie Ritter, and I'll include her information down below, and I'll include a photograph from the pattern here. So I stitched this in 2014, and I just created my own initials here. She encouraged that. She encouraged, personalizing it. It was created to kind of as an homage or an ode to Callaway Gardens, which is a beautiful multi-acre garden, private gardens, about 45 minutes from here, north of Columbus, Georgia, between Columbus, Georgia and Atlanta. And they are known for their butterfly, what do I want to call it? Not a butterfly garden. It's an indoor dome where they have butterflies and all sorts of plant life. So you see some butterflies here, and then there's some stitches that look like wrought iron to mimic the wrought iron fencing. There's two women in this upper corner because, well, I'll get back to that. And then there's a, this is supposed to represent the chapel that's on the premises. The chapel is a lovely, lovely place in the middle of the gardens for, you know, small weddings or events like that. And then the two women are to represent women or men coming together for the Callaway School of Needle Arts. It was held every January for over 20 years, and finally 2 years ago they held the last one. Attendance had been declining, and of course costs were escalating, so it was becoming more and more expensive to go to Callaway, and finally Callaway just decided to stop hosting it, which was sad. But I did get to go, and I took a class from Marnie on a piece that I had started in another class at another location. And then she had kind of studio time where you could bring any of her patterns, and for 2 days you could sit there and work on it, ask any questions you had, get her advice or opinion on how your stitching was going. But anyway, I bought the kit from her and stitched it. It was so fun. So many beautiful flosses and metallics, and just gorgeous, just gorgeous. So that's a past finish from 2014. I'll give some shout outs to Megan, which is I can't read my own writing. Georgia Girl Stitching. She lives in Cincinnati now. She's going to move to Auburn, Alabama, which is 45 minutes or so west of where I live. And in June, I think, to attend medical school. So I've caught up. I mean, she has like 3 videos, I think, 3 or 4, and I've just enjoyed them thoroughly. Megan's a delightful person, and she's really just jumping into this whole cross stitch thing, and it's exciting to see. I've also been watching Annie, the Joy-Filled Stitcher, and I had to binge watch her from the beginning. She started a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, I think. And she's a delight. She sings in her videos, and she's just a very, you know, lighthearted person, and aptly named the Joy-Filled Stitcher. So if you haven't watched her, check her out. She lives in the Fort Worth, Texas area. And then finally, I am right now catching up on watching Lorraine. Rags to Stitches USA is her channel, and I am watching, I think, summer 2019 videos. So I've got a ways to go to get up to the present, but I'm enjoying seeing what she's stitching on, and she's kind of funny, and she shares, you know, life, how things are going with life. So check her out. She lives in Marietta, Georgia area. so not too far north of me. And I've actually met Lorraine at the Tiny Stitches quilt shop in Marietta. And so when I saw her video, I was like, I know that woman. And so, hi, Lorraine, or Megan, or Annie, anybody that's watching, hello. Finished objects. Well, I said I'd been quilting, so I did make a quilt on Sunday, March 22nd. There was a live Facebook event to make this quilt, and the designer was GE Quilt Designs, and she released the pattern for free at that weekend. I think it's $9 or $10 now, but it's called Elvira. And I'll insert a picture of what it looks like in total. And so here's that picture now. That just sort of cropped up at the last minute, and I pulled fabric I had and made the quilt, and that's going to be donated to, it'll be made into the quilt by a local group and donated to a domestic violence shelter. Then I received an email from a local quilter inviting me to participate in another quilt along. This one was a mystery, and it was run by Somerset Samplers, which is part of a quilt guild in Maine, in Somerset, Maine, and I'll put their information down below too. Anyway, I received an email inviting me to participate, and it talked about, you know, the fabric requirements. When I found out what was needed, that it was just scraps and some background, I thought, well, I can do that. And so I made this quilt. I'll insert a picture of what the whole quilt looks like. The Elvira is going to be a donation quilt. The other quilt is for my first cousin's granddaughter, who was born last fall. And so it's a baby quilt. Obviously it's a baby quilt. Okay. Cross stitch finish. It's actually technically not finished, the cross stitching, because I discovered I was missing some little gold stitches on these two, and I sat down one night to fix that and then got distracted and never did fix it. So anyway, I've still got the gold floss. I just need to put those in. But my plan, well, let me show you. There's no picture of what the original design looked like, but this is the chart from Fox and Rabbit. And then instead of A, B, C, D, E, I put my name, my nickname, and then went D, F, etc. So by including my name, I think it will make a lovely front for this tote bag. It's a Lee bag, L-E-E, a Lee bag, and it's probably originally meant, well, I know it is, it's meant for canvas work or needlepoint, but I'm gonna find a way to mount this on probably Peltex interfacing, which is a really stiff, like 1/8 inch thick interfacing. And then I think I can put it in there and it will stay, you know, inside this opening all around. I may add vinyl to the front. I like clear vinyl, clear, I don't know. I would not use this tote bag to like bang around and rub it up against me or anything. I would use it for, and be very careful, but it is a lovely bag with dividers, zipper pockets. It's really nice, and then it has the, you know, the boxed bottom. It was purchased at a needlepoint shop on sale 8 years ago, and has been waiting to have something put at the front. So this just should work out perfect. All right, whips. So I've been working on the 2 rows per week band sampler. I'll show you the book. And I purchased this from Susan Greening Davis. She's not the designer or the, anyway, I've talked about this on previous videos. I'll show where I was in my last video here. I used the variegated floss here, that a section that had a lot of yellow, so I'm going to outline that in the blue, and if that does not make it more readable, it's supposed to say, it does say borders, then I'll take it out and replace it with the blue Lakeside Works. But anyway, I'm current through the end of April, or yeah. So now I need to work on the ones that are due next Tuesday, the 5th, 4th or 5th? 5th. And that's on 22 count banding. And I'm using 4 Weeks Dye Works colors, a purple, a blue, a yellow, and then a variegated mermaid. So that's that. I did get behind on that, and I just sort of had to buckle down for a few days to get that caught up. Let's see what else. Oh, the Linen and Threads Mystery for 2020. I am caught up through March. So I am not completely caught up. And no, I did not recently iron this. I am working on, let's see here. Would have been nice if I had ironed these, but so this was January, this was February, and this down here was March. So this is April. It's a big floral, you know, vase and floral motif. So here it is, April 28th, and I'm not done. But I'm going to work on that over the next few days. New starts. So I mentioned in my last video I had startitis, and it's so true. I think this was a March, it was my birthday start, only I started, no, yes, I started a little early. This is my working copy. This comes from Just Cross Stitch. February 2015. Called Orchid Intrigue. And I am stitching it on an ivory linen with Karen Wildflowers, which is kind of like a pearl. Nefertiti, Nefertiti. Oh, you can see that. And it's got blue and a lot of cranberry and some green in it. And so here's where I am. I am going to stitch the flowers that are right in these areas. I think with a green. I'm not sure, but I tried really hard to use the cranberry in the floss to make I'm working on the heart right now, and to make these kind of heart motifs and bud motifs in the corners. And so I like how that's working out. I really like that a lot. And it's easy to work on. Well, as a one floss design, like a monochromatic type design, it's easy to work on. The fact that I'm trying to save the cranberry floss or use the cranberry floss in those particular areas, that's a little tricky. All right. Oh, and the designer for that, according to the magazine, was Beth Ann Seal, S-E-A-L. And that birthday stitch along is with Erin, the 2 Martini Stitcher, because she and I both celebrated our birthdays March 24th. All right, another new start is my Be Well and Stitch sampler. So all of these designers that have recently come out with free designs, you can find them on the Keepsakes Cross Stitch Facebook page. They've posted them there as they became aware of them. And Michelle Bindi Stitchy, I think on her Instagram, she has an album or page for the free designs, the Be Well and Stitch designs. It was the brainchild of Sue Hillis of Sue Hillis Designs, Cecilia Turner of Heart and Hand, and Barbara Hills, the owner of Keepsakes Cross Stitch Store, to offer, to encourage designers to come up with designs related to the whole Be Well and Stitch, stay home, wash your hands, be calm, be strong, be kind, you know, that whole thing, and encourage people to take the free designs and then, you know, order linen, Aida, what have you, floss from a needlework shop to help keep that shop in business. I'm stitching my Be Well and Stitch sampler on a 32 count pink Zweigert. Okay. Anyway, these designs come from Heartstring Samplery, Waxing Moon, Needle Made Designs, The Basic Bunch, and Stitchin Mommy. And here they are. And this design included birds, which I'm going to use charms or buttons to include the birds. Wash your hands. And then this was supposed to be a blue house, and I made it a red house. And also on my grass, both in that one and in this one, I did a half dent stitch, alternating the direction of the stitches on each row. So yeah, oh, and then finally the one I'm working on now is Stitchin' Mommy, and hers was designed to say pray well and stitch, and to have these stitches along each side. Because of what I'm trying to fit in the top row, I had to kind of move things around. I had reached out to her and said, hey, I really wish somebody would design one of these Be Well and Stitch motifs with some praying hands, and maybe something that would say like be in prayer and stitch. So that encouraged her to do some, you know, to see what she could come up with, and she couldn't come up with the praying hands to her satisfaction, so she went with pray well and stitch. And then I think at the bottom of her, I'll show you hers, pray well and stitch, it says God is on the throne. For the space that I have available, mine is going to say pray and stitch, which I love that. And it's going to have the specialty stitches here at the top, and then I think at the bottom. I think that worked out. And then the design I'll work on after that is the Jeanette Douglas freebie. So yeah, I'm using flosses I have. I did not reach out to an LNS or online shop to purchase. I just jumped right in. Instead, as there are other things that come up that I need, I'm purchasing those from shops to help shops out. So okay, my next start was Arbor Day start, which was April 24th. Well, I have one more start besides this. It was And a Forest Grew by Rosewood Manor. It's 420 stitches wide by 200 stitches tall. So yeah, it's a big one. I'm stitching it on, picture this plus fog 32 count. Using the called for DMC. I had probably maybe a third of these in my stash, and then I had to order the other third. So it's got some pretty pinks and reds and oranges and yellows, aquas, as well as a lot of green and brown. So I started that last Friday, April 24th. Today is Tuesday, April 28th, and I haven't stitched on it today, but that's what I've gotten done. So the first day, I just had like a little branch or two right here. The next day, I had like 4 or 5 of these green balls. The next day, I had the others and finished out the trunk. And then yesterday, I just worked on it off and on all day, and I got all this other, and there are a lot of thread, a lot of colors in like this one motif. So Rosewood Manor, I think, is kind of known for that, to get the wow factor. There's a lot of colors changes, and so that's just the way that is. And here's the picture of this plus fog. It's very pale taupey color, and I think it's a pretty popular color for both modern designs as well as the historical reproduction samplers. All right, the other start I had, and I forget why, but after I showed this in my last FlossTube, that I had purchased it down in Florida, and I had purchased the floss, which I've since had to purchase a second skein because I'm pretty sure I'm going to run out of the original skein. These are two different dye lots, but I don't think it will matter a whole lot. It's got green and gold and blue and purple in it, and they both do. I really love the blue and the purple in particular. But anyway, here's where I am. And I actually had a counting boo-boo, so I'm gonna have to move. I'm gonna have to move some things. I'm gonna have to get creative, and that's okay. I would rather get creative on this sampler type design than rip a whole bunch of stitches out of with my Gloriana silk floss. So stay tuned. I love this. I love this. Even with the uh-ohs, I love it. And I'm very happy I got started on that. Okay, haul. So from Garan Toten Bags, which you may have noticed, I had a Garan needle minder that came with my Garan order, and all I got off their Facebook page was this 6x6 let's see if you can see the kitty cat. Kitty cat motifs. I'm a cat lover, so I've got to get my 6x6 out for I think I'm gonna actually use it on And a Force Grew, because it's very difficult for me to hold such a big one, and so I've got a couple of 6x6s, and I just decided to get my very first Garan Grime Guard. Then I received the Crazy Annie Stitchin Floss of the Month for March. It's these beautiful Eastery colors. I haven't gotten my April flosses, but I think they've been mailed, I think. I ordered off of a D-Stash page, but I saw that Joy Filled Stitcher, she has her own D-Stash page on Instagram, I believe, and she was D-Stashing A Steady in Blue by Hillis Designs. And I've been interested in this for a while. I actually have one of these boxes that's a paper mache box that you can cover. You can paint it or cover it in fabric. This one you actually cover the sides in stitching. You put fabric on the inside, and then the lid is got stitching on it. So I've ordered some blue Classic Colorworks from Kitten Stitcher, and that is on its way. And I know I've got some linen. I know I've got some linen I can use for that. I also got from Annie, the Joy-Filled Stitcher, this strawberry called my Needleberry. Now this particular pattern is intended to stitch on 40 count silk gauze. I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna stitch it on linen. Here's an example of the silk gauze berry versus her linen berry. She puts out two patterns. But I think this will be fine if I stitch it on, 28 or 32 count linen. And I have some small scraps that'll work for that. And then Annie was sweet enough to include a skein of DMC, but it's a sparkle. It's the sparkle. If you can see that. That's gorgeous. I tell you, if I had, I would have been tempted to use this. I would have needed to order three more skeins, 2 or 3 more skeins to do the Steady in Blue with it. But this is wonderful, Annie. Thank you so much. I will definitely use that. Okay. Oh, and I also ordered from Kitten Stitcher a pom-pom. I think it's a Dames of the Needle pom-pom trim to put around this design. I painted an unfinished tray white, and I feel like it needs something around the edge, so I'm going to put the blue pom-pom trim in, and then this design will be done. So stay tuned for that. Also, already from Kitten Stitcher, I received the ever popular Sewing Club from Blackbird Designs. I also ordered the Salt Box Quilt Sampler. And they sell an unfinished box at, I think at Joann's. It might have been at Hobby Lobby. That I need to measure and see if it will fit in their box. I think it will, but I need to make sure. Like, this is stitched on 40 count is the called for, and I would probably stitch it on 36 or 32. But I want to see what I need to do, what I need to stitch it on to fit into a box that I could source locally. But I'm a quilter and a stitcher, so I love that. And that's by Brenda Giray. So that. Then I also got from Kitten Stitcher some Lady Dot Create twill that looks like a ruler. And I have a couple of things I want to use that for in the finishing. And it's vintage ruler, 1/2 inch, 100% cotton, 2 yards, hand dyed twill tape. And then I also got from Teresa 32 count vellum, which is a great neutral, VELLUM. And I think this is what I'm using for the Steady in Blue. But it would also work for this, wouldn't it? a good neutral, a great neutral. Somerset Samplers is now doing one that's called Hope. And every few days we get the instructions for another block. It's a free pattern emailed to those that wanted to participate. And I'm using just batik fabric I had in my stash, scraps, and a few fat quarters that I had too. So this is block 1. It's 12.5 inches unfinished. Block 2, we had to make 2 large ones and 2 small ones. These are 6.5 unfinished. Block 3, we had to make 2 of those large and 3 small ones. So I decided to make them purple. And then block 4 are kind of various shades of pink. Simple block. And I just was emailed block 5 today. The final thing I want to show you is from Stitchy Box. Because my birthday's in March, I purchased the Aquamarine countdown box for March. My plan had been that I thought it would arrive by March, at the beginning of March, and I could use it to count down the 15 days leading up to my birthday and maybe record, opening a piece each day. I don't know whether I would have really been successful at that, but it did not show up until March 30th. So I started that day, and for the most part, once a day, I'd go into my husband's office and I would open up one of these little packages. So I thought I would show you what came. I ordered the Stitchy Box, the Aquamarine Stitchy Box, with the option of fabric. And I chose foam mint. That's what it looks like. I don't think that's right. Something mint, 36 count linen, and it's a very green, blue-green. And I got a fat quarter. And I've not gone through to see what would work on that, but that's beautiful. That's just absolutely beautiful. Okay, so just in case you've never done one of these Stitchy Boxes from stitchybox.com, just be aware it might not arrive when you think it's gonna arrive. And I did reach out to her a couple of times to say, hey, when are we supposed to get the box? And never heard anything back. All right, so day 1, I'm gonna have to put my glasses on. Day 1 is a French spun silk, approximately 8 yards, and from stitchysilk.com by Stitchy Box. There's that. Beautiful. It's very luxurious. Very beautiful. So on this fabric, it reads more blue than green. And then day 2, the Mayuki Twisted Bugle beads, 2 grams, aqua and plum. Beautiful. I have these in order, and of course they're no longer in order, naturally. All right, day 3. I've never done one of these before. I knew I would probably get some beads, but I didn't know it would be as many beads. Swarovski 2.5 millimeter bicones in aquamarine. Day 4, Gentle Art limited edition sampler thread. So there's no color name on this. I would say it's a pale, let's see how it compares. I would say it's a very pale green. It's green, like a celery maybe, kind of a really pale green. Beautiful. Day 5. Swarovski Wild Heart Aquamarine. Oh, okay, I love this because I love hearts. This is a heart-shaped bead in aquamarine. Can you see that? Love it. Day 6. It was really exciting every day to get to open one of these. I was usually in my pajamas or nightgown. Delica 11 seed beads, 1 gram in Op Matte Gray Blue. I know there's a glare, but it's definitely a blue, and yeah, a gray blue. Day 7 was a bigger package. It is eucalyptus stranded cotton, 10 meters by Forage Lisa Maddock. It's a CGT hand dyed. I am not familiar, but it's a beautiful kind of turquoise and yellowy green combination. It's gorgeous, and yeah, that's really pretty. So, and to compare it to the others. All right, day 8 is Natural Aquamarine Faceted Teardrop. So it's a little harder to see. It's very pale. That probably doesn't help a whole lot, but yeah, it's a teardrop shaped crystal. And day 9, another bigger package. Ooh. Dinky Dies. Dusty Skies, maybe 8 meters. And yeah, so it's compared to the others, it's definitely more blue, even ever so slightly a gray blue. But it's pretty. And then number 10 is a Toho 11 seed beads, 2 grams, translucent aquamarine. Look at that. Some beautiful beads. Okay, number 12. Oh, another floss. This is Threadworks. Overdyed pearl number 12. Approximately 50 yards, 100% cotton. Color number 1015. Kind of a purpley light blue. Hold it up. But I mean, it's ever so slightly aquamarine, but it's definitely more to the blue side. All right. That was number 12. I skipped over number 11. Here's number 11. It is Swarovski 2mm pearls, iridescent, dreamy blue. And they're pale blue, pearlescent. Very nice. Okay, number 13. Delica 11 seed beads, 1 gram, translucent, rainbow sea blue. You can, a lot of different colors in there. Number 14. Natural Aquamarine 2.5mm hand-cut faceted rounds. I don't think it's going to focus on the beads, but they're kind of some like off-white blue, pale blue, pale green, but definitely aquamarine. All right, and number 15 is a slightly larger package. So it's a floss. It's French spun silk, approximately 8 yards, seafoam by stitchysilk.com, which is by Stitchy Box. So earlier I had maybe Aries. I can't read that, the color name. Anyway, so the one I got first earlier in the month was more of the blue, and this one's more the green. So all together I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 flosses, and here they are on the fabric. Very nice. And then all the different beads. When I started opening, the bead packages, day after day getting beads, I thought, oh, maybe there'll be a pattern that will show me, like a sampler pattern where you add beads, but there was no pattern. So I have done a beading sampler before. It was a pattern with the purpose was to show you how you could add beads to your stitches. So if you were doing some specialty stitches and you wanted, to include beads, or even if you had a cross stitch pattern but you were like, I want to add beads, this pattern showed you ways to do that, how to stitch the beads down, different types of beads. So I am thinking, I don't know that I have that pattern anymore. I'm looking at the design, but I'll show you the design. So hopefully you can see that there are different types of beads and different stitches they're attached to. So I could do, something like this, only this was on mono canvas, brown 18 count mono canvas. I could do it on linen or Aida or even weave, and do some specialty stitches and include the beads. I could do that. So we'll see. They're beautiful. I also purchased the Stitchy Box Christmas countdown or Advent countdown for 2020, and so that won't come until, I assume, November. so that you can count down to the 24th or 25th. So we'll see. I wanted to tell you about my May plans, or Maynia, Stitch Maynia plans. Really, Maynia, stitching in Maynia is whatever you want it to be, just like any other month of the year. I am going to work on my And a Forest Grew to add or to start a motif every day. And some of the motifs are quite large and I'm not gonna be able to get that entire tree done in a day. Oh, this is our outside cat, Holly. She's a calico. She showed up right before Christmas, so I named her Holly, and she obviously was somebody's cat because she's very sweet. She's content to be outside, but we've had some bad thunderstorms and, you know, tornadoes and stuff like that. I've had her come in and spend the night or spend the day during the bad weather, and she's happy to do that. I need to, you know, this whole coronavirus pandemic came on. I really need to get her to the vet and get her scanned to see if she has a chip, if she belongs to somebody, see if she, you know, is in good health, and she's got a good appetite. Yes, she does. So if you're interested in a calico cat who's sweet as can be, I mean, very sweet. She's not declawed. She, you know, you can talk to her and say, "Come here," and she comes. Yes, I'm talking about you. She's sitting on my quilt tops that I put down on the floor. Anyway, if you need or would like a calico cat, let me know below. If you're anywhere near Columbus, Georgia, or we can meet somewhere, I would love for her to have a new home. Our cat, Duchess, does not really want to share us. She doesn't want there to be another cat in the house. So, and she's 14 years old. She kind of, it's not that she couldn't adjust, but for right now, her reaction to Holly is to hiss and then to go upstairs and hide out in our bedroom. So we've had to add a litter box and a placemat with her food and water and all upstairs, because if she knows Holly's or just thinks Holly's inside the house, she will retreat upstairs. Even though Holly doesn't, you know, is not aggressive at all. She's curious about Duchess, kind of mildly curious, not like overtly, but Duchess doesn't want to have anything to do with her. So unfortunately, I don't think we are really the best ones to adopt Holly, but if you're out there and you would like a nice calico cat, let me know. Okay, I was saying that for Maynia, I'm going to work on And a Forest Grew, starting a new tree every day, or even, you know, a rabbit or a squirrel or animal, fox or something like that that's in the design. So I've gridded my fabric every 50 stitches, as well as in my basting thread I went up and down every 5 stitches, so that I can kind of visually more easily find where a motif goes compared, you know, looking at the pattern, the grid lines in the pattern, and then the grid lines on my fabric. Anyway, that's my Maynia plan. But on May 17th, Stacy, the 911 stitcher, who I think is wonderful, like a lot of you do too, if you've met Stacy, the 911 stitcher, through her Instagram or FlossTube. She and I are going to start a cute design. I'll insert a picture of what the design looks like. And I'm going to stitch mine on Lakeside Linen 32 count bisque. Anyway, it's called bisque. And I went through, it calls for DMC. I think, yes, DMC cotton. I went through and I had to steal from different kitted projects, but I had everything except for 2 flosses. And so Kitten Stitcher sells Anchor floss, so I ordered the Anchor equivalent of DMC because the local shops are not open right now. So I thought, since I was ordering from her anyway, I would just get the 2 flosses I needed. And these are the other colors. And, you know, I don't think I said the name of the chart is I Went to Church Sunday Sampler. And it's by Brenda Keys of the Sampler Company. I saw Stacy, the 911 Stitcher, show the pattern on her channel on a couple of her recent floss tubes, and so it tickles me because the wording on the pattern are, and I don't have the pattern. I ordered that from the designer Brenda Keys and paid for it with PayPal. And I didn't get any response back from Brenda. I've emailed her a couple of times. I've joined the Fans of Brenda Keys Facebook group in hopes that maybe there was some information out on that group as to, you know, was the website not being monitored, or was Brenda ill or traveling, or, you know, is there something going on to where that would not be the best place to order the pattern. But there wasn't anything on the Facebook group. I've messaged the admin, and I hadn't heard anything as of this morning. So because I really want to start this Sunday, May 17th with Stacy, the 911 Stitcher, I also ordered it from Kitten Stitcher since there were a couple other things I needed from her. So I don't have the pattern, but if I can read this terrible copy of the picture. And Stacy had, when she first showed the pattern, she had said so her husband thought it meant that the woman, the love of the writer of the saying on the design, that the woman's eye was roving to somebody else. And Stacy wondered, well, or maybe it means her feelings were changing because her eyes were looking at the guy that was writing, you know, that went to church on Sunday. But on the back of the pattern, I asked Stacy to send me the list of the DMC needed, and on the back of the pattern was this picture. So I think here's the guy that went to church on Sunday, and there's his lady love kissing another guy. Oh, I think her eyes were not only roving, but her affections clearly were elsewhere. So anyway, I'm hoping to start that. Fingers crossed I get the pattern from somebody and by May 17th and can start that with Stacy. So if you have that pattern, or it's a very new pattern, if you ordered it, you're going to have it, and you want to start with us, let me know in the comments below. And any of these that I've shown you, if you are stitching them or want to stitch them, let me know in the comments below. And also, I have a favor to ask, that when you leave a comment, if your YouTube channel name is not your name, like it's not, you know, Susie Stitches or Brian Embroiders or whatever, it doesn't have your name in there, if you could, when you leave your comment, you know, then, you know, just do something like from Susie or -- Ken or whatever your name is. That way I can put a name, a real name, with the person who's commenting, and I'm sure other floss tubers or YouTubers would appreciate that as well, when they see a comment from a viewer and they don't know what to call the person. They don't know, you know, the Joy-Filled Stitcher or the 911 Stitcher, they have names, right? Joy-Filled Stitcher is Annie. The 911 Stitcher is Stacy. My channel is My Stitchy Home. That doesn't give you an idea that I'm Becca. So I try to sign my comments with my name. I don't always remember, but I try. So that's a favor I have of you. All right. I guess that's it for now. Thanks for stopping by My Stitchy Home. And like I said, I know I had several things to talk to you about, and I guess I'll try to do that next time or record another video. Have a great day. Stay well, be safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.